Imagine you were told that there was this magical place that exists in the world, a place that you can genuinely start again from scratch, a place that is more comfortable and easier to live in, a place that is untainted by the inequity and violence of the world around you. A true potential utopia. A young Thorfinn is told a place like this truly exists across the seas. This place is called Vinland. And where he is now is nothing like that promised utopia. The title Vinland Saga refers to a historical collection of two texts, the Saga of the Greenlanders and the Saga of Eric the Red. These stories outline the Norse exploration of North America, the first Europeans to reach the continent, 500 years before Christopher Columbus would land. In the modern age, these sagas were actually given validity by the archaeological discovery of Norse settlements in modern-day Canada. So do you know what that means? People, we have enemy Vikings. I don't know what else I need to say to sell you on this, honestly. In 2005, another important text was released, the Vinland Saga manga, written by Makoto Yukimura, also known for his hard sci-fi manga Planets, which also has a very good anime adaptation that I might cover one day, but I digress. In 2019, the manga finally got adapted into an anime by Wit Studio. Yes, that Wit Studio. I'm not actually a huge manga reader, but I was impatient for this concept to get adapted. So despite being part of the anime subculture for a very, very long time, it's one of the few times I had read ahead before an anime adaptation was made. And let me tell you, this is absolutely an exquisite adaptation. Set in Europe during the 11th century, the story of Vinland Saga primarily revolves around detailing the life of Thorfinn, a young Icelandic boy who is on a quest of vengeance against Askeladd, a cunning leader of a band of Vikings. But don't be fooled, this is absolutely not your standard revenge plot. This is a rich story that has all the hallmarks that you would want from a typical Viking-centric narrative, such as pillaging, war, and backstabbing politics, but has plenty of clever narrative subversion. Being a work of historical fiction, emphasis on fiction, Vinland Saga takes influences from real-world history. Thorfinn is loosely based on the Icelandic explorer Thorfinn 𝐒𝐿𝐹, and as well as Leif Erikson.
Hey everybody, it's Leif Erikson Day! Hinga-dinga-durgan!
And plenty of other historical characters. The main setting for the first major story arc is set during the Viking invasion of England. And the way this time and place is presented is easily one of the greatest strengths of this series. There is a genuine legitimacy given to the time period and culture that can only come from deep research on behalf of the original author and the TV studio crew. Every house interior, every piece of clothing, every tool, and down to people's worldviews and understandings, and the purposeful subversion of this. All these aspects undeniably feel carefully considered. This isn't to say this is 100% historically accurate. I am definitely not an authority to measure this, nor do I think the creators are striving to be absolutely scholarly with their approach. This is still entertainment. But a concerted effort is very clear, and it is very much appreciated considering it adds so much texture. What takes this setting even further is the extraordinary high caliber production value. I don't say this lightly, but nearly every frame is a painting. The background art deserves particular mention because, just look at it. There is a particularly high level of lushness given to these environments that just make them look breathtaking. From the icy tundras of Greenland, to the green forests of England, to the rough shores of Wales, and even the mythologized depictions of Vinland, everything just looks particularly painterly. This notable focus in depicting the landscape elevates how important the environment was to the people of the time. They were much more vulnerable to the harsh elements, which only highlights how coveted fertile and safer land for agriculture would be, which is a particularly big motivator for acquisition via conquest or for settling new lands, both themes explored in Vinland Saga. This level of quality also extends to the character designs. Each of the major characters has an elevated level of texture and detail. This is going to sound really weird, but I just want you to look at these eyebrows. Look how needlessly detailed that is. I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that this is a really good example to the level the staff really went above and beyond to give the visuals of this production that extra level of polish. Anyway, moving on from eyebrows.
Those eyebrows.
Being a show about some of the most notorious warriors in all of history, you can expect some focus on action, and Vinland Saga certainly delivers. We have some wide-scale battle set pieces which are really well done and with a good amount of applied tactics to engage with, but where it really shines is in the one-on-one duels. The character animation here is top-notch. I really like how they hyper-focus on each strike, because each one of these could be the decisive blow that kills the opponent. Each major character has a distinctive fighting style, from 𝐒𝐂𝐿's long reach and his godly strength, 𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐄𝐄𝐍's cunning and his ability to read opponents, to 𝐿𝐿fin's dual dagger style that emphasizes speed and agility, which is an interesting atypical choice for a lead character in a piece of Viking-themed fiction. Despite being mostly grounded and realistic in their depiction of combat, there is a mild degree of exaggeration that borders and surpasses that threshold into superhumanism. This can be instances of Herculean strength or gravity-defying leaping. I have seen some criticism towards this aspect, where some would rather it be fully grounded to be a better reflection of history, but I couldn't disagree more. One of animation's greatest strengths is its ability to exaggerate. Visually, it's exciting, but also narratively, it displays a difference in skill and power in a very clear way. And in Vinland Saga's case, it's honestly just really hype. War and warrior culture is a really big theme in Vinland Saga, particularly in this story arc. The first character we are introduced to is 𝐿𝐿, who was once a renowned warrior, but develops a personal philosophy that can only be described as pacifistic and is surprisingly modern for the time period. This is the first glimpse on how Vinland Saga might be a lot more subversive than your typical Viking story. Some other characters have similarly differing views, like Leif Erikson, who sees himself as a type of warrior, not as one that does battle on the battlefield, but rather battles against the sea itself with his life and honour as a sailor at stake. On the opposite side of the spectrum, you have characters like 𝐿𝐿, who is a classic warrior through and through. He lives for nothing more than the joy of combat. 𝐿𝐿 is actually a really fun character to watch, and overall Vinland Saga is full of great characters that are all quite layered, but in particular we have our two primary leads for this season. We have the aforementioned 𝐿𝐿fin, whose life is the primary narrative focus of Vinland Saga as a whole. In these 24 episodes we cover his youth and his teenage years. 𝐿𝐿fin has this really aggressive and distanced demeanour. He's like this really edgy teen who thinks he's too cool and too angry, despite he kinda Naruto runs. But unlike other stories, his teenage phase is not treated as something to be admired by the world around him, though the adults find this disposition rather childish, even though his combat prowess is greatly respected. On the other side of the coin, we have our antagonist for the season, and the subject of 𝐿𝐿fin's vengeance, 𝐒𝐿𝐑𝐄𝐄𝐍. 𝐒𝐿𝐑𝐄𝐄𝐍 is an extremely fascinating character, and is purposely designed to absolutely steal the show. In this season in particular, he's possibly more of a main character than 𝐿𝐿fin is. On the outside, he's very intelligent and is a natural tactician with a very laid-back personality. But on the inside, he has a lot of dark, hidden secrets. This is a very, very well-written character, and 𝐒𝐿𝐑𝐄𝐄𝐍 is absolutely one of the primary reasons to watch this show. So throughout this video, I've tried to be very light on specific narrative details, and a reason for this is that Vinland Saga is a rather methodical show. It has a slow start and doesn't really get to its inciting incident that sets the main plot in motion for quite some time. So I feel like to go into too much detail will potentially rob a lot of these early episodes of their power. And to talk further on that slower pace, I feel like I have to set some audience expectations for this. Even though I really don't see this as a particular weakness of the show, in fact I find it quite the opposite, but it is maybe something that will turn a lot of people off, especially if they aren't pre-warned. What this time spent allows is for us to witness and appreciate the calm before the storm for these characters and for these societies. It is interesting to note that the manga chooses to start with a pair of status quo establishing chapters featuring Thorfinn in his teens on the battlefield before flashing back to Thorfinn as a young child, which is where episode 1 of the TV show starts. And the equivalent of those taste testing chapters are found in episodes 7 and 8, as the TV show chose to display the timeline linearly. I can see why this choice was made for the TV adaptation, but I still can't help but feel that the lack of a clear hook is a little bit of a missed opportunity to get new people on board. But for those who are already on board with the premise and setting, this isn't really an issue at all. One other detail to highlight is because of the general setting of the story, there is a lot of dialogues between characters with language barriers. We as the audience see this play out as two characters speaking the same language, Japanese, to each other, with context clues to convey that they're actually speaking two different languages on the screen. I do feel saying this is confusing would be overstating the situation. It is, however, disorienting and a little awkward at times to work out, even for anime veterans who have seen this in numerous shows before. But again, this is not a big issue. Usually this is clear after the first few sentences. In the end, I feel like the first season of Vinland Saga is an exceptional historical fiction anime that stands as one of the undeniable greats of recent anime. It is a show I hope a lot more people will watch and enjoy, but one of the best things about it is this is just the beginning. The first season, while a full story in of itself, is set up to be the origin story for Thorfinn. What happens from here on out will genuinely challenge storytelling and genre conventions, and will continue to create a rich and unique narrative tapestry centered around Thorfinn as he grows and matures. Everything will legitimately change. And in July of 2021, there was confirmation of a second season of the TV show in the works, which I could not be more excited for. I am really looking forward to seeing people's reaction to this bold new direction the story will go in, and I hope you will too. This has been your friendly ghost in the screen of the Neon channel, signing out.